Hey, I'm Tim Lane here with the Essence of MMA. Today we'll be talking with one of my favorite MMA fighters, Miesha Tate, Cupcake. She's going to tell us today why she got started in MMA and how it's affected her life outside the ring. You'll only find out here on the Essence of MMA.
I was 15 when I started martial arts, and I really started not knowing anything about it. I began wrestling, and I started because I couldn't play basketball. So really, I didn't have a rhyme or reason why, but I just wanted to play something, and I knew basketball wasn't my sport, so the only other option for me at the time was wrestling, and I went out for it. And it was the hardest thing I'd ever done, and I fell in love with it immediately. Challenged me in every single facet of my being. I loved sports at a very young age. I found out I just loved being active, and I felt like it was a great outlet for me, a great release, and something that I felt really good about. I just felt good after pushing myself after a hard practice. You know, I've done everything from soccer to volleyball to mixed martial arts to wrestling to track to cross country. I really dabbled in many sports, but the common denominator is I feel good after a practice. I feel like I've pushed myself, and I feel like a lot of times I find out that I'm stronger than I thought I was. And that's what I walk away with after a good hard practice is like, I pushed beyond the point that I thought I could push. I've elevated my breaking point mentally, emotionally, and physically, and I feel like a stronger person for it, and that's why I fell in love with sports my whole life.
Kids today, they play a lot of video games. What would you say to a child today who plays video games when they can actually do a martial art? How would that help them in their life?
I think I would speak to the parents of children who allow their kids to play video games too much. I think video games should be a treat. I don't think it should be something where kids are being raised on video games. And the issue that I have with that is that kids get a false sense of reward. You know, when they've beaten a game or they've won a fight in a game, they really didn't have to do anything to do that or win that. And I think then when you put them in the practice room and they're used to getting that immediate sense of, oh, you know, self-worth by pushing button B over and over again, as opposed to getting in that wrestling room and really like pulling strength out of themselves and accomplishing something with their physical being and their body and emotionally and mentally pushing that stamina and having that discipline, it's two entirely different things. And I think that the real feeling of self-accomplishment comes with when you step on the mat or you step on the track and you push yourself and you get your personal best done that day. That's a real sense of accomplishment, as opposed to the video games. It's where it really it's kind of empty, in my opinion. I think one of the main elements of martial arts is setting and achieving goals. Each day you can set a goal, no matter how big or how small, and accomplish it. There's always going to be something that you accomplish when you join a sport, or especially mixed martial arts. There's so much to learn. It's a never-ending story. I've been doing this for nearly 15 years, and I still come in here and I'm baffled sometimes at the amount of knowledge that I don't know yet. And that's exciting to me, because I know that this sport is always going to give back to me. As much as I put into it, it will give back to me. And I think that's the beautiful thing about mixed martial arts. And it's just an amazing sport. It has an amazing sense of fulfillment for me, and setting goals, reaching goals every single day. It's a good feeling.
Oh. So how do you apply martial arts in your everyday life when you're not using it for fighting? How do you use martial arts?
Martial arts is more than just about the sport. There's something about it that teaches you discipline. It teaches you calmness to think through in crazy situations. I attribute one of the scariest moments of my life, luckily worked out well, to having a sound mind in a very chaotic situation. And that was when my boyfriend, Brian Caraway, his mother had an asthma attack in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of Cancun, where we had a huge language barrier and there was no hospital going to get her nearby. Her airway had completely closed off, and we were struggling to come up with ideas. And in this crazy situation, I felt like I had this sense of like, I've been here before. Like, I've been in this fight. I've been in this crazy situation. What can I think through cognitively? How can I get myself out of this situation? And how can I get her out of this situation? And I began to think and problem solve. And I really feel like if I didn't have such an experience with mixed martial arts, that I wouldn't have been able to save her life that day. And I began to think bronchial tubes were closed. Her asthma inhaler is a bronchial dilator. So I took the inhaler myself because I couldn't get her to inhale. She had already passed out at that point. And I took a lot of it myself. I thought if I take about 10 puffs in my one lungful, when I exhale it into her lungs, hopefully some of it will get in there. But just being able to think that clearly in that moment of chaos, the only way that I can describe that is having been in the competition life for so long, having that moment where you get knocked down in the cage, or you get kicked in the head, or maybe whatever it may be, and you get rattled, and for that moment you're kind of don't know what's going on exactly, but you're like, hey, I can get through this. And mixed martial arts in my life, that's what it's taught me.